Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate for you doing research using the library databases. So you'll want to go to the Jeffco main website page, and then at the bottom of the page you will see info to know, and under there you'll have library. So if you click on library, you will see that it has okay, so once you enter library, this is what will pop up for you. So this is the website, and if on the left hand side here you'll see Academic Success Center, and I want you to go almost to the bottom where it says journals by title. And so this gives you a series of journals, and the main journals that I think will that I would recommend that you look at is either Academic Search Elite or Academic Search Premier. Those are very similar journal articles or journal databases. LexisNexis Academic is another one that has a lot of legal information. So if you're looking at the legal ramifications of bullying, in some states they've actually made bullying a felony. Sometimes it's a misdemeanor, so it depends on the state. And if you want to research what are the laws for bullying, that may be a good database for you, but it also is news, so it'll pull up a lot of news articles as well. And then finally, I'd want you to look at opposing viewpoints in context. Opposing viewpoints can bring up a lot of information as well. With opposing viewpoints, it's very broad-based information, and I'll show you an example, some examples of that. And you can't limit it as well as you can with some of the other ones, but it may be a good starting point for you, and you might actually be able to find your articles there. So let me actually click on opposing viewpoints in context, and we'll look at what it brings up for you. So in opposing viewpoint, you might want to start off by putting in bullying, and then it will come up with some key search terms. So bullying and intimidation, bullying and harassment, bullying prevention. So you might want to do bullying and violence and see what comes up. And it talks about bullying in terms of certain sports fans that do it. So it gives you audio, it gives you news, it gives you magazine. And sometimes you're going to get things that are in other countries, and sometimes that's not a problem. It still applies here. When it comes to bullying, there are no boundaries. Nations try various strategies to eradicate such bullying in schools, the bully problem. So again, it's very broad-based. You can do an advanced search in here as well. I actually didn't think you could, but it looks like you can. I haven't used this a whole lot. So you might want to put bullying, teens or youth. So we talked about using a Boolean search terms. And then you might want to put intervention. And then I'm going to truncate it with an asterisk because it could be intervener, it could be intervention. So at the end, INTERVEN, an asterisk. So the asterisk sign says anything after that can be, it could be anything after that. So it could be intervention, intervener, and then let's see what comes up with that. And it may be too narrow for this database, we'll see. So now you get it. No results matching your search terms were found. So again, we made it too narrow for this particular search. So let's try bullying and social status and see what comes up. And again, that might be too narrow as well, but we'll see. That's the one thing with the research is you just have to experiment. Okay, aggression, exclusivity, and status attainment in interpersonal networks. No vacation from bullying, a summer camp intervention pilot study. Studying bullying bosses dominate their way to power. Who bullies the most? The popular kids. So let's look at that one. That may be if we're wanting to look at social status and people that are bullied. And even though that's in Canada, it's still a universal experience, so it can still apply to what's happening here. So there may be some things. This is actually sociologists at the University of California examined data from a longitudinal, which means a long-term study of 19 elementary and high schools in North Carolina, focusing on students in grades 8, 9, and 10. And then it kind of gives you the results from that. So that could be something that would be interesting, especially if you're looking at bullying and social status or social combat, as was mentioned in the Anderson Cooper piece. And then the other thing that's really nice about using the databases, if you look under tools here, you'll see that there are some citation tools. So if you click on that, it will bring you up to MLA 8th edition. And so you can select it. And it is actually the, you just copy that, and then you can open up a Word document. Let's get a Word document opened up. So we'll go to do a new file. So this would be a great place for you to already get started on your Works Cited page. So as you're doing the research and you decide, oh, these are some articles I might want to use, then I can actually paste it in there. And then I want to make sure that I paste using the keep the text only, so it matches what my text is. So it has it all in here. And then when you do a Works Cited, proper works citation is to center the Works Cited part, and then you want a double space. So if you click on paragraph while you're in Word, and you do your spacing as double, and then your before and after, change that to 0, so it's truly a double space. And then if you look under indentation with your Works Cited page, you have to use a hanging indent. So it automatically uses the hanging indent for you, and then it lets you enter in so that you can put in your next. What it doesn't have, there are some things that are actually changed. Globe and Mail should actually be italicized. So if we go back to the original, you'll see that Globe and Mail was italicized, and Opposing Viewpoints in Context was italicized. But when we pasted it and we used the paste function of text only, it took those styles out. So that would be what you'd have to change, Opposing Viewpoints in Context. But now you've already got your Works Cited started, and you didn't have to create that by yourself. So that's a wonderful thing about using the databases, is you can, and then you can download it or print it, and or you can save it so that you have it in the future. Okay, going back to the library, the databases, I also have here Academic Search Elite that I told you about. So if we go back to the very beginning, let me find it, sorry. Well, anyway, if we were to click on, it doesn't go exactly where I want it to go, but if we were to click on Journals by Title, then I could click on Academic Search Elite. And if I clicked on Academic Search Elite, it would pull it up just like I have here. But let's say I wanted to already pull in my information. I did bullying, teens or youth, sexual orientation or identity. So remember, I use my Boolean to be able to teens or youth, sexual orientation or identity. And then I have 83 articles that are pulled up. And let's say I want only scholarly peer-reviewed. Scholarly peer-reviewed are really good articles in terms of establishing credibility, because those are done by a panel of scholars that look at the information that is being submitted to be published in a journal, and they look at it and say, is this really good information? So when you're a scholar and you're trying to get your research published, it goes through a lot of stages. It goes through a lot of gatekeepers. And the peer review journals basically say that they've been through gatekeepers of scholars who say this is good information. And if it's not, they'll either send it back, or they'll reject it altogether, or they'll reject it with changes, and then the scholar has to resubmit it. So when we put scholarly peer-reviewed, let's see how that narrows our search down. Actually, they're all scholarly peer-reviewed, so we still have 83 searches. We can also limit it, as I mentioned to you. We can limit it by date. So this is from 96 to 2016, and let's say I only want to look at the last 10 years and see what's happened with this type of research in 10 years. So if I do that, and it should allow me to hit apply. I'm not sure why it's not narrowing it so much. Let's do it even more, see what we come up with. Let's do the last 5 years and see if we change anything on here. It is not changing anything yet, so try one more thing. We have our 83 results. And I've narrowed it to 2011. it's not working with us. Okay, so it was within the last 5 years. Now we've narrowed it down to the last year, what's been done in the last year. So we have 24 articles. So this kind of gives you an idea of how to narrow it down. And then we can also look at other topics as well. So let's see if we wanted to look up bullying. We can do secondary education, or high school, or middle school, or teens, or youth. And then we may want to do red flags or signs. Let's see what we come up with. So we don't have as many. Bullying in teens, parental intervention. So let's take all of this out. Bullying or cyberbullying. Okay, and so we have red flags or signs. Okay, this is kind of a different topic. This is an interesting article, especially for those of you that want to look at the perpetrators or the bullies themselves as victims. So children as victims and predators, so they can bully just as well as they can be bullied. But I want you to get the idea, kind of see that you kind of have to play with word searches, so red flags or symptoms. Try symptoms. Might be another word that we can use. So they're giving us some symptoms, psychological symptoms. And then if we want to try to do teens or youth, because they may manifest different symptoms in adults, it may be that we don't want to look at adults, we just want to look at youth. So symptoms, ADHD symptoms to depression. And it might be that if we find something that, let's see, we look at some symptoms. Okay, so if we look at this one, it might be that this gives us some search terms that we want to look at. So bullying, child behavior, that may be what we narrow it down to, bullying and child behavior. But before I move on to that, this is a PDF full text. So if we click on the PDF, this will actually open up the exact article itself. Now if you get an article like this that is a PDF, this means that this is a scanned document of how it looks in the original where it was published. So when you have these types of articles, you have to use a page number. So if you see that it starts off, we don't see it until it's the second page, page 888. So if I'm talking about this, I'm using a quote from this. Let's say adolescents with ADHD have problems in regulating their behaviors. So let's see, I use part of this paragraph as a quote. Then when I use my in-text citation, I would do the author's name, Aranima, and there are 4 authors. So this would be, for 3 or more authors, you would put the last name. You don't have to use all the last names, but you would put Aranima, and then you would put et al., and then you'd put page 888. So let's say, I kind of want to give you an example of this. So let's say I use this piece to quote from, and then let's go back to our Word document, and let's say I'm in my paragraph. Okay, I don't know why I did it there, but let's go back.